let's just backtrack it a little bit in terms of what you ate. So you pretty much did the healing diet for quite a while, and just give the audience a little bit of a breakdown. So you'd have your juice in the morning, you'd have your
Yes.
smoothies, and then you would have some cooked meals, and we would tweak that accordingly
Yeah.
to your symptoms, right? So sometimes you'd have like a really bad day, and you'd have to slow it down, and so sometimes the cooked food would be a bit more than the raw fruit. So
Right.
obviously each individual person is different, but this is where the guidance came in, and that's what we did with you. And we go
Yeah, the
right,
classification helped
add
for
this, add that, and then
yeah.
remove this, remove that, and I think how was the food when you were going through it?
Okay, so coming from like an Indian background who loves spices,
Yeah,
it was like 180,
yeah,
right? Because you're having, food that tastes amazing to like completely bland food, right? Especially the vegetable part of it for the dinner. But I remember my thing was a little more complicated because I had to work.
yeah,
And I remember during the healing phase, when I was having the smoothies, I remember like you kept telling me to add more bananas, add more bananas. I was like, bro, I can't add more bananas. I can't even swallow that. And that's another thing I learned, right? I mean, to chew your freaking smoothies,
yeah.
right? Because I was not chewing it because I was just galloping it. I remember a lot of times because I just want to be done with it because it was so big and it felt like a mountain to climb, right? And that mountain would never be able to climb
Yeah.
because in the middle of it, I would have to go, and right after I finished the smoothie, I would have to go. And I remember the program said that you have to have smoothie morning after you have your juices, of course, and then like 2 3 hours later have another smoothie, and then 2 3 hours later have your veggies, right? Like that was the protocol. But I remember because I'm working, um, used to make me go, and I would go more and more after having smoothies. So if I'm driving 30 miles a day, like one way, it would not work out for me. So this is what you guys suggested. You said, okay, well, let's modify it in a way where you still do the smoothies in the beginning, maybe add more bananas in the front, right? That way, before you have to leave for work, you can take care of that. And then that way, the key is to have more fruits as much as
Mm.
you can, right? Because that is ultimately the healing food. That's the ultimate truth. And then in the afternoons, maybe we can add vegetables and then have dinner vegetables. I remember you guys did that for me. And I was like, okay, that sounds good because, sorry. So I know that sounds great, but let's see what we can do with it. And I remember with the vegetables too, I was having like the potatoes, the sweet potatoes. I had eggplants, I remember, and then I also had what's it called, zucchini, and then what else did I
Oh,
didn't have
bell
broccoli and
pepper.
bell pepper. Yeah, exactly. Bell pepper was key. So, but that also I added later. Before it was just straight up potatoes, sweet potatoes, zucchini, and that's it.
Mm.
Like pretty much like rotating around that. And and there was no taste in the beginning, and I remember complaining to you about that too. I was like, I can't have this,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's tough, right? And so then we introduced more salt in it, I remember, and that kind of benefited me a little bit. I was like, okay. And I remember we took away the regular salt. We added like, the Hawaiian salt and not Hawaiian. Well, what am I saying? Himalayan salt. And that my mind is in Hawaii. But yeah. And so the Himalayan salt, that helped because then I was feeling a little like the taste
Mm.
that I was adapting towards because my other taste buds were gone right at this point. And so I was having, these vegetables, and vegetables were making me like more relaxed in the sense that I was not wanting to go as much
Mm.
after those as compared to the fruits that time. And because of my rigorous work schedule, we had to do it that way.
Right.
So, I mean, it did prolong the whole journey a little bit, but it worked for me,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And you have to do that in your situation. You had no other choice.
Had
And we forgot to mention this a little bit. when you started the healing diet, what did you do with your medication?
So, yes, let's
You were
talk
on
about that because
prednisone, right?
yeah, so I was only on prednisone
Mm.
that time because my doctor left my. I remember my very last session. She said that you should take prednisone because you're not taking Entyvio and you're not wanting to take Xeljanz, so taper off the prednisone that I started you on. So she didn't want me to just leave
Yeah.
it. She wanted me to taper off of it. So I remember in September I was tapering off. By the time I contacted you guys, I was on my kind of like the last 2 weeks, I remember. And when I started with you guys, I literally was like, screw the medicine. I don't want it. Because if I'm going all in, let's just go all in. I don't know if that was a good idea for me. I don't recommend it. Tapering off is always healthier
Yep.
if your doctor recommends that. But I was at like from 50, I went to 20, and then I was supposed to do 20, 10, 0. After 20, I was just like, no, I'm not taking it anymore.
Yeah, right.
It did not, so it did raise my bowel movement though, right? That process raised my bowel movement from like 6 to like 8, 9. And then when I did the whole healing diets, like from scratch, cold turkey, that's when I realized, oh, this is it. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
going like 12 times and then 16 times, and the bleeding would keep going, and it seemed like the cycle is never ending.
Yeah.
But
And then it started to reduce a little bit. So as you stuck to it, and
yeah,
it reduced from I think 16 to then 12 to then 9, and then you hit like a roadblock, didn't you? It was like
oh
a roadblock where you didn't know what was going on. You were just doing the same thing over and over again, but you weren't
yeah,
seeing progress. And talk
I
about that a
was
little bit. You hit like a roadblock, didn't you? It was like
oh
a roadblock where you didn't know what was going on. You were just doing the same thing over and over again, but you weren't
yeah,
seeing progress. And talk
I
about that a
was
little bit.